Let's call this meeting to order. This is the Livingston Parish Ordinance Committee meeting for Tuesday, December 8th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mack? Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Talbert?
Here.
Mr. Burlingame?
Here. All right. Item 2, new business. Review, discussion, and recommendations of ordinances. A, discussion of Chapter 46, motor vehicles and traffic. I guess it's I, section I would be section 46-5, permitting for logging operations, required violations, and penalties. Mr. Talbert, did you want to speak on this one?
Well, we had an ordinance come before us the other day, a couple of meetings ago, that we introduced to get the logging permit for the log trucks. It was a log truck permit to run concurrent with the calendar year. So we made that amendment. And in discussion, there had been some people talking about, you know, the impact of log trucks on the roads, our parish roads. And we asked Ms. Myers about that, because basically to run a log truck in the parish requires a $100 permit. That's just a $100 permit. If you live in the parish, outside the parish, whatever, you gotta buy a $100 permit, put on your log truck. And then you can run wherever. We talked about where they bonded, and Ms. Myers said that, oh yeah, we make them bond the trucks. Well, then I asked to see the bonds, and they basically said, oh, she made a mistake, that if they go have a particular logging operation, like they're doing a big cutover or something like that, then they'll bond the roads around it. And so just the basic hauling of logs is really, you know, we don't bond the roads. And so I was just wondering, with respect to other parishes, how they address that, because it seems to be that, you know, like currently, I don't think there is a bond in place for any logging operation going on within the parish as it exists right now. But I see log trucks running, so I'm just trying to figure out where the log is coming from and how's it impacting our roads if there are no bonds in place. Now, I'm not trying to put anybody out of business. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just trying to protect, you know, the roads that we currently have. Because typically, you know, this ordinance that we currently have lists a bunch of roads that are 5 tons an axle. Some of them are 5 tons total, 10-ton total. And so I'm just wondering who's checking that? You know what I'm saying? Who's out there? You know, do we have a parish employee with a set of scales that are weighing these trucks to make sure? Look, I got a truck stop. I see log trucks coming out all the day. You can look at them and hear them roll, and you can kind of tell when a truck's, you know, within the legal limits and what's overloaded.
Yeah.
And so, you know, overloaded trucks tend to be a negative impact on our parish roads. So, especially some of those older roads that were basically, you know, we took a current, you know, we took an old gravel road or whatever and lay a little asphalt on it, and then we're gonna go, you know, run a truck that's, you know, over the 80,000 pound legal limit, and those roads aren't gonna hold up. So I just wanted to talk about or do some research, and I think the ladies got this stuff for us today, on like what Ascension's doing, and so I really hadn't had any time to really look at it. But I'm just interested, you know, what we can do as a parish to protect, you know, our roads. I think Scooter, you know, and it's not just logging. I mean, I know you've seen it. I've got a couple gravel pits up in my district. You know, they tend to, right now they tend to open it up on state highways. You know, they enter on state highways. But as a gravel pit for years and years runs out on a state highway dumping gravel, you can go right up in St. Helena and look at some of those deals. You can see the you know, what the impact on the road. So you know that some of those state highways that have recently been done or whatever, and then you've seen the impact on them. So I just wanna make sure that we're doing everything within our power to be sure that our roads are protected. So I just, in quickly perusing our ordinance, I'm just wondering, you know, who's riding around checking on all this stuff, and, you know, how do we have log trucks on the roads with logs, you know, and maybe they're just passing through our parish on the way to the mill, I can't answer that, or maybe they're just bringing them to the mill within our parish, but ultimately, it sounds by looking at this ordinance, that we got a logging operation going on that we're supposed to be permitted and some other things with respect to bonds on the road. So I just want to be sure we're doing everything we can to protect, you know, our roads, and because, you know, as we've seen, they're expensive to replace. And so, that's what it was. I mean, now we've got some information. We probably need to go and do our due diligence and read up and you know, go visit with some people and see what we can figure out. And then I guess next year we get back together, we can, you know, maybe formulate some ideas, or maybe there's, you know, nothing that we can do with relation to individual operations, and we need to look at making sure that any logging operations that we currently have are permitted and the things are in place to make sure we're not doing any additional damage to the roads.
Go ahead.
It does say in here about damage to roads, you know, in addition to other penalties, any person violating any of these provisions shall pay the parish any and all damages which shall arise from the injury of said roads. But like you said, if they buy the $100 permit, and I think they told us that that's so they'll know, they have to report where they're working, okay? And so they'll know those roads are being impacted. If they tear them up, they'll know. But I haven't heard
But if you're
one
not
time.
checking,
Right, so
you know.
I think one time Mr. Sam told us that there was some damage that was definitely caused by the log trucks, and they approached them, told them this had to be fixed. But we know there's other damage happening, so we do need to look at this order and see if that's necessary to bond out. When they're doing a major logging operation, if they're logging 5 acres, they're not gonna be in and out of there much. But, you know, 500 acres,
well, and you're, at the same time, too, the permits, you know, is necessary just from a standpoint of knowing what's going on.
yeah, right.
You know, and like, if you got 5 acres, chances are they're not gonna put too many overloaded trucks,
Right.
you know.
But you don't know, yeah.
You don't know. And I guess on the right road, one truck that's too heavy can do enough damage, especially like he said, on these roads that at one point were a gravel road, become a major, kind of a major thoroughfare. There's not a lot of, it's just road
Wouldn't be
and
able to
ditch,
search
and, you know, and so they roll off the edge. You could break chunks off the edge of the road.
Yeah,
I've seen that all the time.
I'm having that issue with some gravel trucks on parish roads in my district, because when they ride right on the edge, it's gonna inevitably tear that edge.
And a lot of times they don't have a choice.
They don't,
because
because the roads
are too
aren't wide
narrow.
enough, that's
Yeah.
right. They either ride too close to the middle, which scares everybody
Yeah.
else, and, is that an issue where on these parish roads that are too small or substandard, if they were running the properly weighted trucks and it's still tore up, would they still be liable for it?
But maybe something we can look at too is if there is an operation that wants to take place, then
Check the
we
road.
look at the situation and we steer them away from those roads.
Yeah, go
They
this
might,
way.
you know, you gotta
Might have
go
to
twice
go
as
that.
far, but you're not
But
gonna
it's
go
not
down
gonna
that.
cost you to fix it.
Yeah.
But y'all realize that basically, if you have a log truck and you operate within the parish, you gotta have a permit. And then you're supposed to give the parish council, that's what it says in the ordinance. You're supposed to notify the parish council within 24 hours of the operation of the vehicle. So in theory, if you're gonna haul a load on Monday, you gotta give the parish council 24 hours notice before you go haul that load on Monday. And
Wednesday.
somehow I don't think that's really happening.
Was that in the current ordinance?
That says the current
Mhm.
ordinance exists, and so I think maybe, you know, we were thinking there might be some issues with respect, it might be that just the enforcement or the implementation of the ordinance might be the problem, because I'm gonna just tell you, I see log trucks come in my truck stop every day. And it's hard to me to imagine that those people are notifying the council every day that they're coming through there with loads of logs on parish roads. So it's something that we need to look at and see about who's in charge of enforcing this thing and how we're moving forward to be sure that that's done properly.
It's also like anything else. We can't do anything about the enforcement, but
That's
we can,
correct.
you know, we can make the ordinance.
Yeah, well, I'm just, but
It's no
here's the
different
deal,
than
here's the deal.
ordinance that we
It's-
just fixed. We can't enforce that. That has to be done by somebody else.
But it is ironic that the notification is to the parish council.
Which means parish administration.
Well, no.
That's what they say every time you tell them.
Well, but we both know that's not what
It's
it
not correct.
means.
It's not what, it says parish council.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know why they would report to us, the legislative branch of the government.
I don't either, but I'm just,
Maybe we need to work on fixing it. We'll
DPW,
talk to DPW.
somebody, we need to
Okay.
look at it. But I just, that's all I wanted to talk about. I mean, look, I've learned that, a bunch of eyes on something are better than one, and so that, it just wanted to start the discussion on that, and we can
Okay.
look at how we move
So
forward on that.
where would we move forward? Do we need to talk to DPW and see if?
Yeah, I
who's
think-
doing enforcement if it is being
I
enforced?
think that's the
That
initial
and,
thing. Maybe reach out to administration, look, how are we handling this? And maybe it's that one person that called the other day and told us that, he told me we don't have any bonds in place. And so maybe I need to reach out to him and figure out how we're handling this, how this ordinance is
Sounds
being
it's just
addressed.
curious, if you have a logging operation, every truck has to get a permit, or just?
It looks like not I don't know that
The
it's.
company goes and gets $100 permit. you
No,
know?
I think what
it
they told
sounds
us
like,
online. Isn't that correct?
vehicle,
There's a permit that you get from the permit office for operating like the logging operation.
Okay.
And then there's a permit through administration where they permit each truck.
Okay.
any vehicle, it shall be unlawful for the owner or operator of any vehicle, truck, trailer, or combination thereof engaged in the transportation of pulpwood, cordwood, or other products upon the streets or highways of the parish, to permit the same to be operated on such streets and highways or roads without first obtaining a permit for operation of said equipment from the parish council. Now, I suspect parish council is how they refer to parish government, and so obviously those permits are, as Ms. White just informed us, those permits are generated by the administration. The cost of the permit shall be in an amount as established by the parish council from time to time for loggers residing within the parish, and in an amount as established by the parish council from time to time for loggers whose place of residence is established outside the boundaries of the parish, per year for the owner of the vehicle, truck, trailer, or combination thereof. In addition, in order for the permit granted to be applicable, the owner and operator of any vehicle, truck, or trailer, or combination thereof engaged in transportation of pulpwood, cordwood, or other wood products in the parish shall notify the parish council, which I'm sure means the administration, within 24 hours of the operation of the vehicle or equipment of the location of any highways, streets, or roads that shall be used within the parish. So maybe pulpwooders who are coming in from Amy and coming on Highway 16 and then Highway 1019, then Highway 64 don't notify because they're run on state highways. And so there could be that some of these trucks are occupying state roads.
A lot of the ones going to your truck stop, it's all state road.
Yeah,
right there.
if they're making that run, if they're going to,
Greensburg.
well, no, if they were going to, back in the day when they were going to Georgia Pacific, I don't know if Georgia Pacific was taking logs
I
over
don't
there.
think so.
But if they were making that round, then absolutely, they would, be on state highways.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so
But we established $100, did we establish $100 rate at the last meeting? Is that how the ordinance was adopted?
I think it was already there. and
It
we
was
just
already
changed
100?
The dates.
It was already 100, but there's no designated difference whether you're a logger within or without the parish. It sounds like this ordinance gives the council the opportunity to change the rates from within to outside the parishes, is how I understand that. Am I right or wrong, or does anybody have any?
I think that's correct.
I mean,
But it should, the way it says either one.
Or anything, whatever
Yeah.
stipulations you want.
It
that's
doesn't
what we
say
can do.
if you only travel on state highways. It says if you operate inside the parish from outside or inside, you gotta get a permit. So we just need to check on enforcement and then go forth from there. You know, like the subdivision off of Kane Market in your district, they came in and did a third, fourth filing behind it, across the power line.
Audubon Trace.
Audubon Trace, so they
Audubon.
came and videoed the front of the road and made them repair anything over the damage that was already there.
Which
That's
they
how they
did,
do it on most of them.
which they fixed, that
Yeah, the
entrance side,
entrance,
they
yeah,
fixed that,
yeah.
I remember
They
that.
cured it.
Okay,
Uh,
that's it, just, we need to look at it and do some research and figure out if there's a solution to the concern, or maybe everything's being handled properly and we don't need to do anything.
Okay.
All
Remember
right.
that.
So, we'll go to item 2B, discussion of chapter 66 solid waste.
Okay.
This is something that, generally we're talking about when we were talking about the collecting fees for litter, this for the mine. And I think it's something that has been discussed since,
Way back.
since way back, when
Bubba.
the landfill came and
Yeah.
Bubba was on the, and it's about the idea of parish-wide garbage collection. And I'm gonna tell you, it's something y'all already know, but I'm just gonna say for the sake of the audience, that if you don't live in a municipality, then you are not required to have garbage picked up at your residence. Now, by and large, most people pay for the garbage pickup. But I'm of the mindset that a lot of people who don't, just that garbage winds up on the side of the road. It winds up being burned in somebody's yard or backyard. It winds up in the ditches, inhibiting drainage, and it's just generally looks bad, is bad, it's bad for the parish. I think it's time that we look at it trying to establish a systematic approach to where we have parish-wide mandatory garbage pickup. And I believe, and I haven't had a chance to speak to the administration, because there's a couple of things involved, as far as how do we collect, but, we can do it in a way where we can make it on average cheaper. I believe we can make it cheaper for the person who doesn't live in a municipality, to have their garbage collected, at least the same, or probably maybe cheaper to do it that way.
Well, we won't know till we dive into it.
We won't know, but
Yeah.
I believe the way you stop look, there's always going to be litter on the road. People are going to litter. But I believe a lot of it winds up there because lack of a better way to just get rid of it. If you have a garbage can in front of your house, you're going to use it, if you're paying for it.
Get out, put it in.
I believe that, I'm going to throw a number out there. 95% of the people who have a residence probably collect their garbage, and they have a garbage can and they throw it in there and it gets picked up. And it's not like we're breaking into uncharted waters here.
Yeah, 'cause all
Most
the
parishes
municipalities-
have
Yeah.
mandatory garbage pickup, to my knowledge. I think it's time that we look at this. And I mean, it's multifaceted. There's issues involved. How do we bill for it? And I believe, they'd have to put it out for contractors. If the parish bills for it, then you would think there would have to be one service that does it, but I don't, maybe they could do multiple.
Yeah, there's no doubt, just talking to some professionals in the garbage industry, they'll just tell you that if they are contracted, like as we're structured right now, I pay Waste Management drafts me once a quarter, every 4 months, drafts my account for my garbage service. I think it's quarterly we pay, is it quarterly or?
I pay monthly.
Yeah, well, you're within the city of Walker, so it's a different deal, so, but we pay them directly, so they've got the overhead of doing that. They can, I've been told that in a bid situation, for example, some of these municipalities that utilize them, even, that they're definitely cheaper, for the same service. Actually, they're cheaper with additional perks that we don't currently have if they were getting one check from the parish and the parish was collecting, the fees. Because it would be they eliminate a whole group of, employees. They don't, and we just found out how much it costs to run HR and payroll at DPW, so I can't imagine what it costs at Waste Management to run that.
$10 million a year.
But,
right?
anyway, I mean, I'm just saying that, you can eliminate, you could probably provide for those people who are currently having garbage service would probably get additional service at a reduced rate. But however, what would be, the impact is, what is the percentage of people that don't currently have?
Yeah,
And so, I mean,
Tracy had talked about that. How many people aren't receiving garbage pickup now? We need to know that.
But I don't know if there's a way to know that.
Well, you would
But
just
but I know,
go by the number that Waste Management is hitting and how many
Well,
households
but
we have.
Waste Management's not the only people. I mean,
Well, we got a couple people that check
is it
with-
is it
Waste Pro.
Waste Pros in now
Action Waste or something.
well, there's somebody else that's,
Down in lower.
there's somebody
Yeah.
else that's talked about coming in. I don't know. So, I mean, those are deals done by administration.
Right.
I know we've only
been.
been asked to ratify that one contract, but that was Action, that was,
Ascension Waste? No. What was it? It was
I
down in
mean, he
Southern
came and
Livingston.
reported, did we have to approve that contract, or did he just let us know
I think
that
he let us know he's let them
that
start.
there was another company in that? I don't know.
I think the one he sent us.
Is it Waste Pro that's?
Waste Pro, a few months
Waste
ago,
Pro,
yeah,
Waste Pro.
back in the beginning of COVID, I believe.
So what, was it that long ago?
I think it was.
So Waste Pro's in, and he had mentioned the other day that somebody else might be looking, but I hadn't heard.
Tracy and I had talked about white goods, couches, and things that people are throwing out, mattresses, that needs to be included if we go that route and decide that it's doable.
Well, I mean, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I believe that the parish, to some degree, we could figure out a way to do that. Whether it's the parish that goes and picks up, you'd have to make a call. Just place the call, I would assume, because you're talking about parish-wide. Because typically the way it works in Walker, if I put, I don't know, an old barbecue pit or something out, Waste Management comes through, they'll see it when they pick up the garbage, and they'll come back and then say, hey, go do it. We'll send somebody over. Unless the city sees it first,
And then
and then somebody in the city, they'll make a call and it gets done.
Yeah,
And I think it's a combination of both. I know my garbage runs on Thursday. I'll set it out there. They'll see it on Thursday, and either Thursday afternoon or Friday or Monday, they come pick it up. They're pretty quick about it. I don't know if we can get that type of, unless we require in the contract that they do that as well.
that's what I'm talking about. I wouldn't want to put it on DPW, and that's who gets it now, if it's outside the municipality.
Yes. Well, you can include it. We could include it,
We could do a couple
in the
different
contract.
ways,
We could
yeah.
include it. We could see how that would work. But if we do it, then it'd be hard to get the vendor, or I guess the
Yeah.
people to report to us.
Hey, there's something out
that,
there. Yeah, I got you.
There are
They'd have to
people
call
picking
it
up
in and
garbage.
say, I want
It's
something
a
out.
whole other level of work they'll have to do. But I would, even if that's the case, I wouldn't mind doing just to get it off the road. Look, there's no doubt in my mind that if we do this, there will be less garbage on the road. I absolutely believe that.
Well,
I
mean, typically, if you were to go back and look at the history of the landfill at Woodside, when the parish operated it, and then you could go as a parish resident and dump in it for free,
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
it was a
You remember-
disaster.
Yeah, but
I
you
mean,
could,
give it all in.
but you could go, you know, when, I'm talking about when Woodside existed.
Oh, I got
And
you.
the parish owned the permit, it was a parish permit, and Waste Management was operating
Mhm.
for the parish. Then you could go up to the window, and if you establish yourself as a resident, you know, and you had a pickup truckload of stuff, they sent you over there on that little dump thing.
Yeah,
over there, and
absolutely.
you could unload it, so, and there's no doubt that, you know, I mean, let's see, how many councils ago? That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 councils ago, when, you know, that was 20 years ago when they made that decision and transferred, let's see, is that right, us?
It was
Jimmy,
96, I think.
Jimmy,
It was 96,
Jeff?
97,
yeah, right. So, yeah, back when they transferred the permit, and Waste Management started the operation, there's no doubt that it's a different deal, you know,
Sure.
you know, nowadays, but, you know, if like typically in some of these other parishes that have contracted stuff, then, you know, there's a once a truck comes around once a week or whatever that
You
does
know what, they
debris.
put the
and-
big
yeah, you
stuff
know,
out.
The big
Yeah.
stuff or once a month, and then there's a white
In
good
different
deal.
areas, yeah.
That I think they even, I don't wanna speak out of turn, but I'm thinking that in the EBR, that there is, if you put a white good out, then you just call. Isn't there a number you call, and they just come get the white good? You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? They come and get it. So, but, I mean, that's a negotiated service that exists because the parish goes out for bid, and this is what
Yep.
we want, and
And the
so.
hauler gets one check and they don't have to do that.
And that's it, so.
I believe that, I think y'all are of the same mindset. If you pick up, you mandate all garbage pickup, there will be less garbage on the roads, in the ditches. But even if hypothetically it doesn't help that, I believe that it still would be worthwhile, even though I totally believe that it will help that problem to a large degree, because I believe we could get it across the board at a more affordable rate
For everybody. yeah.
for everybody.
I don't know if I'm completely on board with the mandatory yet. I absolutely believe that it will help with all littering.
So why would you not?
Well, we would have to look at every aspect of it, like you
Well,
said.
absolutely.
And see what contracts people would be willing, how much would it cost? If it would save everybody 20%, 30%, 15%, things like that, then it would make me feel better about doing something that was mandatory. You know, you have to do lots of things that are mandatory, but
Well, I mean,
you're right, but the burning in your yard of all these households, that's gotta stop. I mean,
but the only way you can make that help make that
help
stop
make it stop.
is to give someone else a viable option.
Yeah, that they don't
You
have
know,
to go
you know,
do.
you don't have to do that, or you just go, well, I'm paying for this garbage. And look, to be clear, again, we're only talking about a small percentage of the
Right,
population,
that
but
all
it doesn't
goes
take,
down.
if it's 0.5% of the population, you take all their garbage, and a lot of it, it doesn't, you know, it spreads out pretty far, and you know, it looks, I believe it'll help.
Well,
Yeah.
look, there's no doubt
Okay.
that if you're getting a bill every month for garbage pickup, you're not gonna go burn it in the drum out back.
No.
You're gonna go put it in the street. I mean, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? And so consequently, and if you have the ability to go put a couch or a hot water heater or a broken refrigerator, a broken washer dryer at the street and have somebody come pick it up as part of that service, then you're not gonna be going down some back road sometime and rolling that sucker out.
And you're getting a
I
major
mean, and
benefit
I
by
mean,
getting
I'm
them to do that.
I'm
Yeah.
not, and it's typically not washers and dryers, because you can go take those to, if you got time, you can take those to the scrapyard and get you a couple dollars for them, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
They
It
usually
is,
just spare pretty
it
quick.
is couches and stuff like that.
Couches and mattresses are
Well,
my
I
biggest
mean,
things in my district.
Anything of weight, an old lawnmower,
Yeah.
barbecue pit that's burned out, I mean, yeah,
Oh, well,
you know,
there's no doubt that if it was mandatory parish-wide, that there would be a reduction of, you know, that stuff. I can tell you, couches and mattresses would on the side of the road would definitely be reduced. Let me tell you something, people don't realize how hard it is sometimes to get rid of a mattress. Mattresses are,
Yep.
thank God I got a business with a dumpster. I mean, I can just tell you, because mattresses are,
Yeah, they got it's not like it's a fridge. You can bring it to the scrap
oh,
yard.
I mean, yeah, I mean, mattresses,
Good God.
Oh, yeah.
If all I had to do was run it out to the curb instead of trying to load it in my truck and take it somewhere?
well, I'll give you an example. We bought at a different, at a little, like a little camp thing we got, we bought a new mattress. My partner bought a mattress that you cut and roll out and
It airs
pops up.
Yeah.
So
Bed
it gets traded out for this old time mattress that we had. And it's just kind of waiting for the opportunity to go put it at the street. Somebody told them if you put it at the street, then they'll come pick it up. So it finally gets taken from inside to the street. It doesn't get picked up, and then it gets rained on. Well, let me tell you something, my rained on mattress is way heavier than it was before.
Absolutely.
Eventually, with some negotiation with the, I don't remember if it was a grass guy or somebody, the thing got disposed of. But it was not an easy,
No.
you know, it's, if you live, you know, somewhere, then you can always make an effort to get it done. But long distance disposing of a mattress is an issue, I can tell you.
Well, and even then, if you take that mattress to the landfill now, especially if it's wet.
Well, I mean, typically,
It's gonna be over $40.
Wait a second, I'll tell you, I'll have to go back and look, but a couch, and I don't remember what else I took. After the flood, you know, there were some individuals that, this lady in my neighborhood, didn't get her stuff
I
picked
remember when you
up.
called me.
She had a couch, and I don't remember, was a couch and a mattress, it was a couch.
Couch and a mattress.
It was,
He said, this thing's wet. I can't even pick it up.
I finally got it rolled up in the trailer and I drove to Woodside, and I think they really did me not solid, but I still think it was like $30-something, you know, to dispose of it, and I think they did me a favor, but because there's no doubt that the sofa and mattress probably weighed 3 times what they normally should have weighed on the front end, you know, but yeah, so it was, you know, I mean, there are things that are just expensive to get rid of, and not everybody has a pickup truck or access to a trailer. I mean, you know, both of y'all ladies drive a car, your husband might have a truck, you're single, if you don't go borrow a pickup truck from somebody, then, if you borrow a pickup, if you gotta go get rid of a mattress, how you doing it? You understand what I'm saying?
She even put it on top of the leg.
I know it's not, she's not putting it on top of her car, I'm just telling you that
See the lady who lives in your neighborhood?
No, but there are issues, I'm not
Yeah,
trying
there are. So
to be.
we need to look into that.
Look,
That's a question.
I think that's something that needs to be, I don't have an issue with, I understand what you're saying about mandatory.
Well-
At the same time, you know.
Well, you already have mandatory in 90% of your district, so, you know.
And I'm used to it.
Yeah, and we all are. I mean, I couldn't imagine, I got a dumpster too at my business, and I couldn't imagine loading it up every week and bringing it towards my dumpster so I wouldn't pay for garbage pickup.
I just think
Yeah.
ultimately, if we do this, the parish will be cleaner.
Yeah.
It's
I
gonna
agree.
help
I agree with
pick that, it's gonna help get the garbage out of the ditch, it's gonna get it out of the rivers, which, you know, because it's just, it'll still be there, but not in the volume that it is, because, you know,
Why would you?
yeah. So look, we can
Okay.
bang over it a little bit more, obviously a lot more.
Yeah, just wanted to get started.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw it out there so, people on Facebook can start, you know, hammering on me real quick. You know,
That
give
was your
them a
idea.
jump start. Yeah,
Everyone remember that it was Tracy.
it is
Curley.
my idea, and you know, it's okay because you know everybody where I live
Right
pretty much
thing's
has it
not always
already,
easy
and it
to
is the
do.
right thing.
It's not always easy.
It's not, but I think this is one of the easier of the things that's the right thing.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Wouldn't
you already-
affect but maybe 5% of the population, but we need to find out.
Well,
Yeah.
the issue that we gotta figure out is you
Building
gotta
mechanism?
create,
That's a
there
big
is
deal.
no organization
Yep.
typically right now that bills parish-wide? I mean, there's none. There is Entergy and Demco, so there's no electric company that's parish-wide.
There's no water company?
There's no water company,
Cable.
no
It's all
cable
different.
company, nobody.
But
There's
y'all-
no parish-wide billing type situation. So to do this, the parish is gonna have to create a department to do it. So, we gotta, so you say that you're gonna save, we talked about saving individuals money, but then we've gotta fund this additional,
It's gotta come
expense.
out of that.
So ultimately, there might not be any technical savings because the parish has gotta recoup the cost of running the additional people to do this. So, there's a lot of research that's
understand what
gotta
you're saying.
be
Even if it's
looked
just
at.
flush, you would probably still think that it would be the right thing to do, because then it would help with the,
Well,
I mean, I'm all opposed to littering just like the rest of us, so.
I think typically, if you go look at Walker, you look in Denham, you look in some of these you look at the municipalities, I think those people get additional services
We do.
that we're not getting in our contractual
And
situation.
to be honest, we haven't asked for that.
Well,
So,
but
you know-
it's not, that's because we're out of the picture.
Right.
right.
As the individual residents of the parish, we absolutely at present have two options. And, because of the fact that there's not density of 100% participation when they go down a particular road, that consequently those costs are inflated.
They're high.
So,
Yeah, I get it.
Actually, there's three options. The other one is the problem. You just throw it,
right.
you just throw it out. You just throw it out. And look,
no, I agree.
even if it's a wash, in the sense financially,
It's still a win.
It's a win.
For the people, yeah.
it is.
It is.
But to throw a negative at it, it's still a free state. And so there's gonna be areas that the areas that you don't have a lot of participation in are the same areas that you're gonna catch heck at. And
But you know what,
and
Dave?
there's a couple councilmen, let's face it, we all represent a particular area. And it's easy for you because you represent an area that's almost
Yeah.
got 100% participation now because they're basically
I've
inside
got
the
a
city
small
limits.
market system.
And I understand that, but I don't want to sound like a cliche, but you take this job
To make tough decisions.
to make
There's no
tough
doubt about
decisions, and not to just sit here and make the one that's easy at that moment.
That's right.
that. Yes, Scooter and I.
And I will admit, this is more or less easy for me.
Yeah.
It's easy
And
as
we're
it
not,
gets.
we're not putting any shine on that. I mean, it's not you're doing that,
Yeah.
you're the councilman, and you have mandatory garbage pickup. So does John. I don't know if they have mandatory in Albany, I would assume that inside a municipality they do, but I don't
I
know
don't
that.
know. I know they do in Livingston.
In Livingston,
They just
so
actually
it would
signed a
make
new
sense that
contract,
all the
so-
Yeah,
municipalities.
it's
Yeah,
just,
well, they're going to be unaffected.
I'm just telling you that when we look at the whole, don't be surprised, don't,
If you got three
if
people
you've
that are
got,
dead
if you've got some councilmen that are opposed to this because their constituents are opposed to it.
I mean,
And just,
I understand that.
Yeah, because every area is different. Now, I grew up in a couple.
And we're gonna- and we're gonna
enough
talk-
on one hand.
And we're gonna talk, I think the next thing we're gonna talk about is you're gonna have the same, I've already gotten the same feedback on it, so, we might need to
Well,
address.
Well, let's go to
Let's
the,
the landfill's in my district, so yeah, it is a little harder for me in that regard because look, the garbage is going to go to Woodside
no matter who
no
or
matter what.
Yeah.
So I would rather it go straight there than to go into the ditch or on the side of the road and have someone pick it up and
Dug
then
out.
Bring it there later date, I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right. So I'm going to get with some people in administration and maybe go reach out to one of the garbage collectors, and just see if I can
Or
get some
several,
information. So
See if they
yeah.
would be interested in something like that. Yeah.
All right. So we'll move on to item 3. It's old business. Review, discussion, and recommendations of ordinances. A, discussion of Chapter 110, Buildings and Building Regulations. Section I,
permit office fees and fences. So this was yours, Scooter, huh?
Well, it was ours. We've been
yeah.
having a bunch of issues,
I feel like we've been talking about this.
well, we
Well,
have,
this is-
it's not just happening inside. What started, Gravity One is my drainage district. And they were running into a bunch of problems where people were building fences in the drainage servitudes. And it came to a legal fight where we had to make people move. Okay, if we could make people get a permit on the outset,
Minimal
they
fee.
would know where to build it, minimal fee, whatever
Yeah.
the minimum would take to cover administrating the thing, and maybe even if they had to survey something or whatever, they wouldn't have to move their fence. It would be there in the right place.
Well-
Drainage district could get in and do their thing. So we thought parish-wide, Gary's getting blowback on the people outside of some drainage districts.
Well, I mean, I've had a couple, cause I talked about this the other night, I've had a couple councilmen who don't have gravity drainage districts, or funded, quote, funded gravity drainage districts, that just don't feel like this is something that they're,
Is an issue in their district.
well, there, and we talked about this the other night, that there is some impact to DPW, but it's really more about subdivisions, and so a lot of those places don't really feel like they're impacted. So, y'all see these two little narratives that we have here. One is a suggestion, and then one is just a kind of a thought process on an ordinance. I think whatever we do, it needs to be limited based on, I think we're gonna struggle if we go outside of funded gravity drainage districts and getting the votes we need at the council levels, all I'm gonna tell you, because I think there's I'm gonna be honest with you, that's just my thought process. And I'm gonna tell you, we had talked about that minimal, basically go online, request a permit. I don't even know if we even had to have a fee, because basically what we're asking you to do is just acknowledge,
Sign an affidavit
just
saying, "I'm not
acknowledge
building
that
it
you
in a certain-"
understand what the ordinance is, that basically, and dude, I had a couple people tell me, why would you want to do that? So I'll fight the battle in my district, and mainly because of the gravity drainage district occupies most of my districts under, the gravity drainage, and you do. So I think that we probably ought to look at addressing, if we want to require a permit, gravity drainage. I think what you see on the left, that the one sheet of paper that addresses the two sections, the revision 1 and 2, one being servitudes and right-of-ways, and one being drainage impact study, drainage design requirements.
Mhm.
I think all those, it's on that separate, it's
The back sheet.
the back, pull this off of the back, the last 3 pages of that thing, that aren't stapled together, the last 3.
Gotcha.
So that was just a narrative on, possible stuff. I don't know that, we can talk about that
So
later.
let me summarize, let me do
Okay.
something here. So, are we talking about going forward requiring permits if you want to put a fence up? Or are we talking
Yes.
about retroactively
No.
saying, hey, take your fence down, you're,
No,
They're gonna
we're,
do that anyway.
we're talking, basically, if you have an illegal fence, the parish can go in or gravity drainage, or anybody can get you to remove it. That's not an issue. What we were trying to do is to prevent, look,
Prevent somebody from putting a fence in the right of way so we're later on when we try to get to their ditch to clean it.
right, we don't have to have.
I mean, where is the problem with this?
Well,
I mean, this is a no-brainer.
Well, I understand, but so I think the impact is in the gravity drainage districts, not throughout the parish.
Mainly.
So it's a 2-pronged approach to this. The first is to look at revision 1 and 2, which basically just expands upon, so it says existing. Permanent structures such as fences, portable buildings, sheds, etc. cannot be constructed or placed within servitudes or right-of-ways. I think that the proposed change is no permanent above-ground structures such as fences, portable buildings, sheds, etc. may be constructed or located within public services or right-of-ways to provide for maintenance of public drainage improvements at locations where utility servitudes cross public drainage ways, ditches, pipes, etc. Utility improvements shall be limited to subsurface lines and mains. No above-ground utility structures, pedestals, transformers, hydrants, light poles, etc. may be located in those areas without approval of drainage districts. These locations are typically found where drainage laterals extend along lot lines from right-of-way to drainage ways at the rear of adjacent lots. I think what's happening, and it goes on to talk about drainage impact study, it says that, you know, it uses the same language before, but it expands upon utilities. I think that what we're seeing is that after subsurface drainage is getting put in some of these subdivisions, because typically if you look at our subdivision ordinance, it really doesn't, it has more required that, you know, not a lot of open ditch laterals, a lot of stuff needs to be subsurface, that we're getting a lot of penetrations at a later date. There's a sinkhole in the first filing of Audubon Lakes right now, that DPW is waiting on a deal for Gravity One to bring their camera out, because we've got a utility box and a telephone pedestal that are sinking in somebody's front yard with orange, it's got orange stuff around it, and we're waiting for a camera to come, you know, go through.
Is that one in my district you talking about?
My district.
I got one in Fontainebleau, we're waiting on the same thing.
Well,
Gravity 2, it's Gravity 2.
So this isn't a gravity problem. This
It's
either a sewer and or, you know, road drainage issue.
Right.
And so, you know, I think that they wanna look at from the beginning on design, limit some of the issues with utilities and some other stuff within the servitudes. And then us determine whether, you know, on a fence situation, how we want to address, you know, fences within servitudes. We could, and Scooter made a mention of something the other day that maybe we need to expand the subdivision plans or the plot plan to identify what areas are fensible and what areas are not, you know, no
And if
fences.
that's there and they do build a fence, it won't be a question, you're going to move your fence.
But the issue, my issue with the permit was that fences are expensive, and typically a lot of people require contractors to come in and do it. And so, you know, you go erect a fence that technically isn't in a legal location. Hell, it costs a lot of money to get it moved, and so it seems to me from
You
my.
want to do it right the first time.
I want to do it right the first time, but the pushback is, look, the people that are gonna benefit are the people that realize that they need to identify the issue. If you don't care that your constituent builds it in the wrong spot, then that's on you. I think that we need to figure out how to protect people as much as we can from putting a fence up in an area that doesn't need to be put in, because it's just it's a problem for the districts to go get them moved. It's a problem for DPW to go get them moved. It is a cost that some people can't afford. It seems to me that the best way to do is to do it right the first time. However, I don't think we have the votes to do it on a parish-wide basis. So the Gravity Drainage District, mine has asked us to look into it.
Mine has too.
Yours has asked, I'm sure if yours, you know, so I think we need to figure out what is palatable to individuals, to our constituents, to protect them. Let me tell you what's brought it, I guess what made me have a different look at this is I'm tired of government protecting me on this COVID thing. You know what I'm talking about? I'm a grown person who has common sense, who can understand what the rules are, what I need to do to protect myself. I'm tired of the government telling me what I can and can't do and what I do have to do. So at the same time, I want to protect individuals on their fences, but damn, they're grown people who are
Right.
putting these fences up. I want to make it as easy as possible for them to identify where it
No
should
work.
or should not be. But at the same time, I don't want to be this heavy-handed government that says, you got to do it this way. And so, you know, it's a conundrum, it's a struggle to
But you're
figure out.
protecting the same people, the same constituents, when you say, hey, look, later on, at 10 years from now, when I need to get a piece of machinery back there to clean that canal that drains your neighborhood, I need that servitude, that right of way to get to it. And they're like, well, I got a fence there, are you gonna pay to put it back up? No, because you shouldn't have had that fence there to start off with.
Well,
I think retroactively doing it.
Oh, no,
is one thing. Going forward,
Well,
this,
that's why I think
this-
if we put it on plot plans and show this is where the subsurface is gonna be, you cannot build in here.
But
You cannot.
I agree, but I think the permit, you won't think of that necessarily when you're
When you
building
get
your
ready,
house.
2
But when
years
you
later.
go build a fence and they say, hey, you gotta pull a permit, you'll know.
Well, so the question is, so we want this to be as minimal as possible, right? I
Yes.
mean, we're not doing this as a revenue thing,
No.
we're not coming to inspect you. So what we're looking at is we want you to be aware, or as a constituent, like, let's say, for example, I'm gonna go build a fence. Then basically what we're saying now is that, Gary, you gotta go online, say I want a fence permit, and then basically I'm just gonna I wanna, kinda like those deals when you go sign up on some website or whatever, it says, here, these are the rules. You know, we want you to acknowledge that you've read the rules, and then we're gonna give you a fence permit. We're not trying to generate revenue, we're not gonna come inspect it. What we want you to know is, here are the rules.
Yep.
And if you violate the rules, when we come to do a water line or a utility line or drainage district or whatever, if you build outside the rules,
Yep.
then we're gonna cut your fence down. We're not gonna come ask you permission, we're just gonna come remove your fence as neatly as
You
we
gotta
can
put that.
and lay it back in your yard. And so, I mean, I don't know that you can, I do not wanna get into, you gotta come down here with a drawing and buy
No, I
a
don't wanna do
permit
that
and do an
either.
inspection.
Yeah, the more we thought about that, that's just encumbrance for no reason.
Yeah, I think the thing to do is just, I want somehow somebody to go online and have to acknowledge that the parish has a set of rules, that I've read the rules, or I'm a big boy and I don't care what the rules are, I'm gonna put my fence up. And then acknowledge the fact that later on, when we come work, if you're over those lines, then we're gonna remove your fence. And then if you choose to build a fence and not even go on and acknowledge it, then, you know, there's some other consequences. And I don't know what those are, but I really want people to be aware that there are areas in your yard that you don't know about, that you know, that you can't build in, because,
Go to your plat and look it up before you get somebody to come build this fence inside of servitude.
look, we have all seen these maps on these deals. And because of the cost of development, because of the cost of land, contractors are trying to squeeze as many lots out as they can. And so they're putting drainage servitudes in people's backyard, and they're trying to do them as swells or whatever. And ultimately, you walk out your back door and you see this big backyard. What the developer isn't letting you know is that the last 30 feet of that backyard
Yeah.
is yours that
It
you
belongs
own,
to
Yeah.
you
but it's not yours to fence in.
or build on.
It's
You know,
like
or
the
to build
ditch
Yeah.
in front of your house. You own the ditch land, but you don't have use of it.
Yeah, you,
Other than putting water in it,
Yeah,
you know.
I get it, yeah.
So,
So
look,
what else do we need to look at?
I like what you're saying. If you want to have them to where they put it on development going forward, like, hey,
Yeah,
this is
in
the
every subdivision,
little
on the
line.
ones that have plats, this is the lot, and there's
Yeah.
a drainage servitude, it needs to be identified on the
Yeah,
plat.
absolutely there.
And I think if we need to have another page of the drawing, or we need to put it in the, in the little map, when you look at a map and got all these little things that identify this type of road, we need to have in there.
Also, too.
This is an area that cannot have a fence or permanent
Building,
structure,
yeah.
whatever, built on top of
No
it.
pools, we running into pools in them.
Also, too, if a house goes on the market, you build a house, you say, okay, I'm not gonna put it there, it goes on the market, the next guy doesn't know that, so when they come to get their occupancy permit, you hand them a sheet of paper and say, acknowledge this, because they have to come up here to get that, don't they? Or not here, but.
Yeah, I just think, I don't, that's on
It can be online now.
it can be
Well,
online.
then they can get it there
It'll
too.
direct them.
But I just think it's somehow, some way, shape, or form, we need to, as people get new permits, whether they do a new electric or whatever, we basically have them acknowledge that there are a set of rules within the parish, that areas aren't, and
I know this, if you have, I can think of a particular place right now, they can't get to because of all the fencing, and it's an issue. It's an issue. Because the same people you're protecting with their fence, you're not protecting when it floods. Because if it was in there and they could get, if Gravity 5 or Gravity 1 or 2 could get in there and clean it, they would.
We've gone a long ways by changing the types of pipes and things, so those in between the houses shouldn't be crumbling or breaking loose anymore.
Yep.
Because we changed that. But that still doesn't mean go ahead and build a fence over it, because they still may need to get to the lateral behind it.
we talked about a particular ditch last night when I went to the Gravity 2 meeting. There is a ditch in a very nice subdivision in Watson between it and another very nice subdivision. It just so happens to be that the one nice subdivision has got the servitude on their side, because they were the first one built. And so there was a servitude already to access the ditch, so the other little subdivision
Had to have it.
didn't have to do it. And there's been discussion about, how many people are gonna be benefit. Well, that ditch benefits the entire subdivision. There's one person complaining because she's got water standing in her side yard, but that ditch, when you go back and look at the original design and the drainage impact, that ditch impacts everybody within the subdivision. If one ditch doesn't drain, and then it impacts everybody. So in essence, there are 7 or 8 houses that are getting ready, have to get a letter to cut their fence in the back so that.
Welcome to my world.
Oh, I understand. Look,
I do 13.
I hate it, but it's gotta happen because
They moved them.
there's no way to clean the ditch without it,
Right,
so.
so it's a no-brainer.
So, that's
So
why,
we need to fix
you
it.
do something before you can get to that.
And on the front
Hey,
end,
look,
it's a whole lot better. Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little more optimistic. I think the votes are there for that. I know you it would be probably close.
I just think
Maybe I'm wrong.
I think if you address it initially within gravity drainage districts,
Then we
and
can take a look down the road.
and it's basically a acknowledgement permit more than a permit, you know what I'm talking about? That before you can erect a fence in the parish, you've got to go online
And look at
and
the rules
acknowledge
for
that these are the rules,
Also-
and then go from there.
But I think though, the unfunded districts are the funded districts 30 years ago. You gotta do it now. Because how many fences are up now that are in the
Many.
right away? That if you'd have just done this 30 years ago, when it was absolutely, would have been an issue, I guess, to people.
Yeah.
They didn't, but nobody foresaw
Right.
where this I never thought this parish should be where it is now whenever I was in school.
When we had 40,000 people
We've
here.
had the discussion at this council about, look, these are problems that we're seeing now, and you have coming.
Yep.
And then we'll get a councilman that gets a subdivision
And then all of
Oh,
a
so
sudden they
it's like-
understand.
Is that they see it your way.
Yeah.
How can they just build a subdivision? Because
I
the
remember
rules-
that aha moment.
So, I mean, I'm just saying that they're coming, it's coming.
I understand it's unpopular in their, in that regard for them, but this isn't a theory. This isn't, hyperbole. This is gonna happen. It's, get ahead of it now, because to a large degree, I'm in a situation I'll never catch up. You're the same way. You're the same way.
Yeah.
They could do it, and this goes there, it goes, zoning, goes to everything.
Yeah.
You get
Well-
that locked in place, and
So would
then
this
you
be
can grow from a right.
Something that we approach Morgan about? too,
No,
or
I
something?
think this is,
Or developer type engineer.
I think initially we gotta go talk to Dee Dee or somebody and figure out how we can have an acknowledgement initially online,
Okay.
to work
I
that out.
talked to her Friday about it. on the phone.
So you've talked to her?
Yeah,
so-
she said that she does not, she can do that, doesn't have an issue with it. She doesn't want to feed people to death, so
I
she
agree.
wants to keep the cost
Well, no,
down.
Yeah, so,
If you could do it for
I mean,
for
I
nothing.
That's what my take on it all along.
I think an
Zero benefit
acknowledgement could be
to the
done for a
drainage
little or
districts
no
is
cost.
big.
There's really no cost in doing that, is
well,
there?
and there shouldn't be any much cost if you could put it online,
You
or
can put it road.
it's just,
We talked about the no cost, and if you do it for no cost, then she said something about like, if they did have to send an inspector out for parish stuff, not necessarily gravity drainage, then there would be no way to offset that cost in her department.
like $10.
But because, she also said that because the compliance department already deals with the fence issue, if our ordinance just said, the compliance department still has to deal with the fence issues, then you could do a no cost.
So we could do a no-cost acknowledgement online through the permit office software. And still have compliance handle our fencing
I think
problems.
that would be the way to do it.
Then let's look at how we draft that, how we implement that in our ordinance, and then let's maybe send an email to Chris to look at those two proposals that gravity drainage or that sewer engineer sent us with respect to the utility stuff in those servitudes, and pass them by Morgan and see what she has to do to say about those changes and see if those are issues.
What about, and then you're talking about,
And then
builders?
Yeah, and then I think that maybe Morgan we need to reach out to Morgan and ask her, is there a way on the subdivision plans that we could identify a no-build zone? Meaning that nothing can be constructed, fence.
And with our new as-built, they'll know exactly where you cannot, not maybe, they'll know exactly where you cannot do.
You gotta reach out to Morgan about the plan stuff, because she deals with the plan review stuff, and she's gonna say final grace over the final design plan. So she needs to figure out how that would impact her to put that in
Where to
there.
put it at on the
And
plan.
then, we gotta reach out to Dee Dee on the other deal and make sure Kistler could still do it. And then we gotta discuss whether we wanna do it parish-wide or we wanna do it within gravity drainage districts. And we need to talk to the other councilmen and let them find out. We need to reach out to
We're putting that
those.
for the first of the year, so we're not gonna have another ordinance meeting between now and New Year.
No, so it'll be something we take up, but I think that's how we gotta, I'm not wanting to make people buy permits.
No, I don't either. That's why I thought it should be zero.
I
but
just
if-
want
if
people
we
to
can do it zero,
acknowledge before they build a fence.
They know what the rules.
That they know what the rules are. That's all
Agreed.
I really wanna do.
I agree. Okay.
I don't wanna be that overburdensome government that requires, that's making me, do stuff I don't necessarily think I need to do. Because I'm a big boy who's already had COVID one time and I came through it
But
with
you know
flying
it.
colors.
Might have a couple times, you never know.
Well, I know I had it once and I went fishing for 7 days.
We good?
Yeah, I think we're
All
good.
right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by
I'll
Mr.
second it.
Talbot, second
Said I
by
wasn't doing that, but I had to.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.